Thank you. We are really, truly blessed to have such an incredibly strong Michigan delegation, so could please give them a round of applause again. You guys know Senator Sanders, I call him Ammo, which means uncle in Arabic. He is always going to be my Ammo because there is something about a person that doesn't get enough credit for the fact that he centers everything that he does with people on the ground. And he goes all across the country, not just in his home state. And he understands the importance of bringing us with him as he talks about this budget, because it needs to be reflective of our values, y'all. And the only way to do that is to bring you all along, not just have those folks testifying in various committee hearings that don't really get to talk to us. They don't get to see what we're doing and what we're struggling with. And so, please, understand the critical importance of him picking up the phone and saying, I want to come to Detroit and come to Michigan and talk to our families. We are truly blessed to have him as chair of the Budget Committee in the Senate. He is continuing to bring workers and to bring people on the ground that, again, are frontline communities like ours to talk about that continued struggle. And it is really, truly an honor to introduce all of you all to my Amo, my senator, always, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Let me begin by trying to figure out how to get this staff down. Let me thank people of Michigan for sending to the Congress Rashida, Debbie, Andy, three of the outstanding progressive leaders in Washington. Their jobs are hard, but I got to tell you, because I work with all of these guys, they're doing a fantastic job, and I thank them all. Now, we've heard the word reconciliation, and nobody in America knows what that word means. What it is, and by the way, if you ever have trouble sleeping at night, go to the Senate rules. Put you to sleep in about 2 seconds. But reconciliation, bottom line, is a process in which you can pass legislation, with restrictions, by the way, with 50 votes rather than 60 votes. And sad to say that my Republican colleagues, our Republican colleagues, who are hot to trot to give trillions of dollars in tax breaks to the rich and large corporations, they were ready to go through reconciliation to throw 30 million people off of health care by repealing the Affordable Care Act. That's how they use reconciliation. We're using it in a different way. We are doing it in a way that will provide the most consequential piece of legislation for working people in our lifetimes. That is what this is about. And we're going to do that, sad to say, without one Republican vote. And at the end of the day, we're going to need the Vice President of the United States to cast the tie-breaking vote, probably at 5 o'clock in the morning. All of you know two facts. Number one, that in America, the wealthy and large corporations are doing phenomenally well, right? Rich are getting much richer. They got so much money they can't even spend it here on Earth. They're off in outer space spending their money. A lot of our people worry how they can afford a car. These guys are busy buying spaceships. All right? That's what they do with their money. And what we also know is that many of these billionaires in a given year, and many of these large corporations in a given year, pay less in federal income tax than you do. In some years, they pay zero. Now, Republican friends are saying, well, we can't pass this because we're going to raise taxes. You're right. We are finally going to raise taxes on the rich and large corporations who are not paying their fair share of taxes. No apologies to be made. You have heard what this bill does. Does it go as far as Rashida and Debbie and Andy and I would like it to go? No. But it goes further than any piece of legislation in our lifetimes. You've heard some of it. I just want to touch on it and show you what we have done and will do. Shamefully, the richest country on earth, the United States, has historically had the highest rate of childhood poverty. of any major country on earth. As a result of the American Rescue Plan and those direct payments that many of you received, those $1,600 checks, the $400 checks, as a result of the $300 per month payments that working parents are now receiving per child. You got 2 kids, $600. We have reduced childhood poverty by over 50%. And for black and brown communities, the numbers are higher. How's that? And what this reconciliation bill is about is whether we continue that program. The American Rescue Plan was an emergency program, 1 year. Those payments, my friends, will expire unless we pass this reconciliation bill. Andy told you that we are going to revolutionize childcare in America. Right now, $15,000 a year on average. Who the hell can afford $15,000 if you're making $40,000 or $50,000? Our goal, no family in America pays more than 7%. How's that? Rashida talked about pre-K. We are going to make pre-K for 3- and 4-year-olds free, part of public education. Debbie Dingell has been working on Medicare for years. All of us believe in a Medicare for all single-payer program. That is not in this bill. That fight continues to be waged. But what is in this bill, what we are proposing and fighting for, is an expansion of Medicare for seniors to cover dental, hearing aids, and eyeglasses. And to lower the age of eligibility. These guys have already talked about home health care. How many people do you know who are forced into nursing homes because they don't have the home health care they need? They'd rather stay home. We're going to significantly expand home health care, pay those workers a living wage so that they can take care of the elderly and the disabled at home. We are finally going to take on the greed and thievery of the pharmaceutical industry. The crooks that charge us the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, Medicare will start negotiating prescription drug prices. We are going to build, we are going to invest more in affordable and low-income housing than any time in the history of this country. And finally, we are going to deal with what you have heard from Rashida and others, the existential threat of climate. It is beyond I really don't understand it, quite frankly. Our Republican colleagues have children, they have grandchildren, and how in God's name they can look those children and grandchildren in the eye and ignore the destructive forces of climate change and what kind of planet we're going to be leaving to those kids. And what we do in this bill is put hundreds of billions of dollars to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel. We put money into communities like Detroit that are already suffering significantly the brunt of climate change and what it means in terms of flooding, and lack of electricity. So this bill will be the largest single investment by far in American history in climate. And when we do all those things, when we deal with climate, we deal with housing, we deal with childcare, we deal with home health care, you know what else we are doing? We are putting millions of people to work at good-paying union jobs. I think that in Vermont, I know that here in Michigan and Detroit, a lot of people are giving up on the political process. They're seeing the rich getting richer and they continue to struggle. What is behind this bill, what the 3 of us and 4 of us are working on, is to finally say to working families in this country, you know what? In a democratic society, government is supposed to work for ordinary people, for working people, for lower income people, not just the rich and the powerful. So this, to my mind, is a beginning of transforming our country, have a government that works for all rather than the few. And I again want to thank all of you. I know many of you are involved in grassroots organizations. Thank you so much for what you're doing. And thank you for electing these three great members of the Congress. Thank you.